What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be having a look at the 2025 AFL fixtures. They just released today, a couple of hours ago. I've only had sort of a little, a small look at them. I haven't actually gone in and properly reviewed it and gone through each round, looked at it individually, and I'm excited to do that. Obviously, we start off with opening round. I fucking hate that they're doing that again. Why are we doing opening round again? No one liked it. There were some good games, but yeah, I'm pretty sure most people would have been happy with just a normal round one. But in opening round, we have a rematch of the prelim, Brisbane versus Geelong, this time at the Gabba. That's on the Thursday night. One thing that I did like is that the AFL announced that Thursday night games are going to be fully back. I think there's going to be 21 Thursday night games or something like that, which is very good to see. Obviously, we don't know all of them because I think it's up to round 15 or 16 where they actually have all the games put in the right time slots. But yeah, Thursday night games, they're going to be good to see. Then we have Sydney versus Hawthorn on Friday night at the SCG. Look, there's those two matchups. I don't think they're bad. It's just the whole concept of opening round that isn't great. Then on the Saturday evening at 5:15, we've got Gold Coast versus Essendon. I don't think anyone really asked for this. It's not a massive game. And then we have a rematch of the opening round fixture last year between GWS and Collingwood. It could be a decent game. I don't know whether Collingwood are going to be a really good team this year or not. Hopefully it's an entertaining game. But yeah, just the whole idea of opening round no one likes. Everyone wants to play round one, Then we actually get to the proper round one where we get our usual opener, Richmond Carlton at the MCG. I'm absolutely buzzing for this game. It'll be such a good way to kickstart our season. Richmond, obviously there's no guarantees in footy, but Richmond are probably the worst team in the AFL at the moment. Then we've got Hawthorn versus Essendon on Friday night. Love to see Hawthorn play Essendon round one. On Saturday, Geelong play Fremantle at GMHBA. A grand final rematch at the SCG between Sydney and Brisbane. Can Sydney get revenge for the flogging in the grand final at home? Maybe. The Bulldogs play North. Collingwood play Port. Dan Houston's first game against Port Adelaide. I think that's why they put that one as a night game, a Saturday night at the MCG. You'd expect Collingwood to win that. Then Adelaide rocking their brand new logo. Tell me what you think of that in the comments. Against St Kilda at the Adelaide Oval. Melbourne against GWS at the G, and West Coast versus Gold Coast at Optus, 6:10. So they're going to have some later games on Sunday. Most of them are going to be in WA, but they're going to have a few late games for other teams throughout the year. They're trying to use Sunday night as a time slot. I think there's going to be 9 Sunday night games in the first 16ish rounds. And then they might have more after, depending on whether or not people like it. Then we get to round 2. Carlton play Hawthorn on Thursday night. Hawthorn getting a lot of primetime games, which is expected. Then the Bulldogs play Collingwood on the Friday night. Don't like seeing Bulldogs play home games at the G against Collingwood, who, the Bulldogs have their home games at Marvel, and Collingwood usually have theirs at the G, so I feel like that's unfair, but I get it. For their 100-year anniversary, they want to have a big home game at the G against a big Victorian club, so that's good to see. And Saturday doesn't look amazing so far. Essendon, Adelaide at the G, Port, Richmond at Adelaide Oval, St Kilda, Geelong at Marvel. Not a great Saturday. Sunday doesn't look that much better. Brisbane at the Gabba against West Coast. North against Melbourne at Marvel, Freo against Sydney at Optus. So yeah, not a great round. The primetime games should be decent, but yeah, not a great round. And then Suns and Giants have the bye because of opening round. Again, having the byes so early in the year, I think, who was it? I think GWS last year had 2 byes before North had 1. So yeah, not a great system. Round 3, Essendon play Port at Marvel on Thursday night. Could be a great game. It really depends how good Essendon are. You don't actually know how good all these games are going to be because you don't know how good every team's going to look. Especially a team like Essendon, who was so inconsistent last year. Then we play Bulldogs on Friday night at Marvel. Always enjoy playing the Bulldogs. They're quite good games usually. But yeah, we haven't had a very good record against them as of late. Then on Saturday, Melbourne play Gold Coast at the G. Saints play Richmond at Marvel. Hawthorn play GWS at UTAS on a Saturday night. The UTAS games that Hawthorn play are usually during the day, so it'll be good to see them play some night games there. Then on Sunday, I feel like everyone's just going to be watching the Western Derby because, everyone likes to watch those Derby games. Then Adelaide North at the Adelaide Oval. Don't really think anyone really cares, to be honest. Not another, not great round of football. There's a couple of good games, but that's probably because, 4 teams that'll be pushing for finals, Brisbane, Collingwood, Geelong and Sydney all have the bye. So, yeah, that bye system, it's leaving some of those earlier rounds with some less than amazing games. And round 4, this is actually a pretty decent... this is another round of some decent prime... It's like 1 or 2 good primetime games, and the rest is shit. I had a look at this. None of these games are good. Obviously, Collingwood Carlton on Thursday night, huge. There'll be, 90k plus at the MCG. And then Friday, Geelong Melbourne at GMHBA. I mean, you'd think that there would be better games to put in prime time, but if you actually have a look, there's really not. Gold Coast Adelaide at People's First. Richmond Brisbane at the MCG. Fuck me. North Sydney at Marvel. GWS West Coast at NG. Port Adelaide, St Kilda at Adelaide Oval. And then Fremantle Bulldogs at Optus with Hawthorn and Essendon having the bye. So yeah, other than really that first game, this is a pretty lackluster round. It would be good if again those early byes weren't there. But yeah, first few rounds, after round 1, there's really not many proper good rounds of football. Then we have Gather Round, and there was a lot of backlash for Gather Round. I think for the most part, it's pretty good. Adelaide against Geelong on Thursday night. It's good to see those Adelaide teams in Gather Round have primetime games. You'll see for Port's game. And Friday night, Collingwood Sydney, blockbuster. They played 2 pretty decent games last year. Although the first one was a pretty easy win for Sydney. The second one at the SCG, the Sydney comeback, that was a brilliant game. These 2 teams have played in some thrillers over the last few years. They'll probably both be sort of up there in the top 8 again. Then a pretty weird-ass day. North and Gold Coast at Barossa Park. Don't know why they're not playing games at the Adelaide Hills. Apparently people liked going there, but they're playing at Barossa Park instead. And Carlton West Coast in what should probably be a dead rubber. Probably just be a Carlton win. But then these 2 I don't get. You've got Bulldogs Brisbane, which is one of the better matchups in Gather Round. Out of all of the remaining matchups, I'll get to that later. But out of these sort of 5 games, that's probably the best one. But they're going to play it as a twilight game at Norwood and then put Melbourne Essendon on the Saturday night. Why not swap these? Why not have the Bulldogs play Brisbane at the Adelaide Oval as a night game? That would be much better than this shit. Melbourne and Essendon. Who's going to want to watch that? And then the Sunday, obviously Richmond Fremantle at Barossa Park again. Saints GWS at Norwood. These 2 games are quite shit. But this one, the Sunday night stuff, you'll see it later. There are some decent Sunday night games on public holidays. So like King's Birthday Eve, Easter Sunday. Those are fine. But why put probably the biggest game of the round, Port Hawthorn, on at 7:20 on a Sunday? That is shocking. I reckon that is probably one of the worst time slots I've ever seen. If you're going to have Sunday night games, save them for the public holidays. Don't do this shit. Everyone's going to want to watch this. Don't have it on at 7:20 on a Sunday. People complain about Gather Round a lot this year, and I think it's good for the most part, except for those two night games, Melbourne Essendon and Port Hawthorn. Does not make any sense to me. I think I should start moving these quickly because I'm already 10 minutes in and I've covered 6 rounds. So then Easter round, Easter Thursday clash at the Gabba again. But those games are usually quite good. Hopefully we get another good one. But yeah, the two most recent premiers battle it out on Thursday, so that's alright. Good Friday's trash. I mean, obviously North Carlton play. It's becoming a yearly thing that we play them on Good Friday now. But then fucking West Coast Essendon. Who asked for that? Last year, the night game was shit. It was like Fremantle Adelaide. Adelaide couldn't buy a goal. But this, like West Coast Essendon. Jesus. Then on the Saturday, Melbourne take on Fremantle at the G. Crows take on GWS at Adelaide Oval. Richmond play Gold Coast at Marvel. I don't think I've ever seen Richmond play an interstate team at Marvel. I mean, what am I looking at? It's good. I think it's good seeing those big Victorian teams, play a couple of games at Marvel. Maybe Gold Coast, Gold Coast. Richmond was like one of the only teams Gold Coast beat away from home last year. Maybe they can do it again at Marvel. If they don't win that would be a disgrace. And then the Sunday, I read some article that it would be Sydney Bulldogs on Sunday. I thought they meant that would be the primetime game, and I was so excited. But no, they're both going to play a prelim rematch between Sydney and Port at the SCG. You'd expect Sydney to win. But then I don't get this. Why not put the Sydney Port, if there's so much emphasis on primetime Sunday night, why not put this game there? Why put the Bulldogs against St Kilda? That is such a shit game to put prime time on Easter Sunday. And then obviously you've got the Easter Monday game, Geelong versus Hawthorn. Hopefully it's good this year. Last year it was pretty bad. Hawthorn were good in spells, but hopefully this year it is an actual top game. Because this has a chance to be one of the games of the year. It really does. Quickly plug my laptop in because I'm recording this on my bloody school laptop and it's about to die. I forgot to plug it in. But what's really interesting is Easter is later this year. It's not, around 4 like it was last year. Or no, it was around 3 last year. And I think it was the year before as well. Or it was, I think it was around 4 the year before. But it's later, round 6, and then right after that we have Anzac round. Disappointing that Anzac Day is on a Friday because we don't get, your usual Wednesday or Tuesday football. It's just like a normal round. But the Thursday, Melbourne play Richmond. This could be one of the worst Anzac Day Eve games ever. It could be trash. Last year was pretty bad, but it was like bad because Melbourne was significantly better. Now both teams are probably going to suck, I reckon. Maybe I'm wrong about Melbourne. I just think they'll be pretty shit. Then Collingwood play Essendon on Anzac Day, followed by Fremantle Adelaide. This was the Good Friday night game last year, and it was terrible. So why put it on another public holiday? I don't know. I was expecting to see Brisbane play GWS in Canberra, but I guess not. The last year it was a blowout. Then on Saturday, you've got Saints play Brisbane at Marvel, Port play North at Adelaide Oval, GWS play Bulldogs in Canberra. So there is a Canberra game. It's just on the Saturday. That I don't mind. That could be a pretty decent game, I reckon. Bit of a rivalry there between these two teams. So, yeah. The rest of these games after Anzac Day aren't great, but this one's alright. And then Gold Coast play Sydney. Maybe Gold Coast could do something there. They're always good at home. Carlton Geelong, Anzac round again. We played on the Saturday last year and we lost. But this one's a home game. I'm probably going to go to this, hopefully. Against Geelong at 3:20. Time slot is a little bit weird. It would have been cool if this was the night game on the Friday. If we played Geelong right after the Anzac Day game, that could have been one of the best Anzac Days ever. And then Hawthorn West Coast at Marvel again. A couple of decent games in that round. And I really have to get a move on because this is going to be over half an hour. Then Thursday night, Essendon North at Marvel. Pretty fucking shit. This, honestly, those two primetime games, Saints Fremantle at Marvel. What a shocking round. If I see some good games in this round, I'm going to be shocked because why are those the primetime games? Bulldogs Port at Mars. I'm pretty sure they actually played in Ballarat last year. Or this year. Or was that the MCG, the game where it was a smashing, wasn't it? I remember these two teams played in an absolute smashing. I don't think it was at Ballarat. Then we play Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. We always struggle at the Adelaide Oval. It's weird. But last year, we won our only 2 games there. So maybe it's the start of something new. But Collingwood, Geelong at the G, that's always a good game. And then West Coast, Melbourne and Optus. So I don't know why either of these 2 games aren't prime time. Those would be much better off at prime time than these 2. But I guess you have to share it around. And then, oh my. Okay. This might be one of the most fucked rounds ever. Because last year, the Battle of the Bridge got absolutely carnaged by the TV schedule. They didn't get a single. There were 2. None of them were televised, and there were some shocking games that were on TV instead. Because I think it's Hawthorn's 100th year celebration or something like that. So just watch. These 2 on a Sunday are both going to be on TV, but this one's not. I'm calling it. There's and the Q Clash as well could be good. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 games that are better off on prime time than either of these 2. Oh my god. Shocking. Just this, I can already see this round 8 scheduling is going to be an absolute joke. When we get to round 9, Fremantle play Collingwood at Optus. The draw from last year, we play Saints on a Friday night. Saints actually have a pretty decent record against us. They beat us last year. I'm really hoping that we can do something against them for that game. Those are the type of games we're going to win. We just got to win. The Melbourne Hawks at the G. Essendon Sydney at Marvel. That could actually be a half-decent game, Gold Coast Bulldogs at Darwin. Port. The Showdown on Saturday night. Not too bad. Probably better off being a primetime game than Carlton St Kilda. Would like to see them on primetime, but at least it's on TV. Spoon Derby. I reckon these are going to be the 2 worst teams in the AFL. Maybe it could be one of Richmond's only chances to actually get a win. Geelong Giants at GMHBA. That could be a very good game. See, I'm noticing a pattern. There are some good primetime games, although there are some good games, and then they put a shit on primetime. Bit dumb. And then North play Brisbane at Ninja Stadium in Hobart. Did they change the name or is that a different ground? Bit strange. See, almost 20 minutes in, I'm not even halfway. I'm going to have to fucking hurry up. Gold Coast Hawthorn at Darwin. Could be decent. Gold Coast play well there. We play Sydney at the SCG again. When are we going to play them in Melbourne? I don't know. We seem to only ever play them in Sydney. So that should be decent. Collingwood will probably continue their insane record against Adelaide teams at the G. That rematch of the qualifying final. Hopefully it's better than the qualifying final because that game sucked. GWS Fremantle at NG. Maybe there's something there. And then the night game, Bulldogs Essendon at Marvel. For these, it's so tough for these Essendon games because the ones earlier in the year when they actually are usually good, they might be good games, but then, back end of the year, they'll probably be shit because we all know Essendon. And then Richmond North at the G. Oh my god. Brisbane, Melbourne at the Gabba. Melbourne was shit last year, and that was actually a good game. Like, Brisbane needed to come back. And then we have West Coast Saints at Optus. So, that's actually quite a decent round, I reckon. There are some good games there. Round 11. Gold Coast, not Gold Coast, Geelong Bulldogs at GMHBA on the Thursday. This is Indigenous round. And then Essendon Richmond at the the Dreamtime match. And then I've heard about this. This is a bit weird. They've got a double header at Marvel on the Saturday. Carlton GWS at 12:30. And then North Collingwood 7 hours later. Bit weird that they've got 2 games at Marvel in Indigenous round. But this actually looking like a decent day because you've got this game, which will be good. You've got Hawthorn Brisbane at the G. That could be good. Fremantle Port at Optus. That was the game where Fremantle threw away their finals chances. And then Sunday sucks. That is less than ideal. So all the good games are going to be on Saturday pretty much. Thursday could be decent. Just looking at time. Round 12. Thursday night. Brisbane flog Essendon at the Gabba. Jesus. Collingwood Hawthorn on the Friday night. Excited for that. Gold Coast Fremantle on the Saturday. GWS Richmond. Sydney Adelaide. Yeah, not a great Saturday. And then Sunday sucks. And I think, is this the start of the buys? Yeah, it is. This is the first of the buy rounds. We've got Carlton, North, Port, and the Bulldogs. So yeah, since it's the buy rounds, it makes sense that there aren't many good games. It's more just Collingwood, Hawthorn, and then maybe Sydney Adelaide if Adelaide decide to actually be good this year. Then round 13, Bulldogs play Hawks at Marvel. Rematch of the elimination final where the Bulldogs got, not really embarrassed, but they were never going to win in the last quarter. Like, it was over at 3/4 time. And Friday night, Adelaide, Brisbane. At Adelaide, I guess. Richmond, Sydney at MCG. Geelong, Gold Coast at GMHBA. GWS, Port in Canberra. And then this. Okay. This is King's birthday round, as you can see. Not a couple of pretty mid games, but this one. On King's birthday eve, on the Sunday, when we always play Essendon in the night game, North play West Coast at Hands Oval. That is in WA. North have 2 home games in WA against Perth teams. You'll see in the next round. This one's at Hands Oval against West Coast. What are we doing? I get that North are just trying to earn a little bit of cash, but oh my god. Then, these two, the King's birthday games, Carlton and Essendon on the Sunday, Melbourne, Collingwood on the Monday. Melbourne sucks, so probably that game's not going to be great, but Carlton Essendon, it wasn't a good game last year, but the atmosphere, it had so much hype last year, and hopefully it's something like that again. But yeah, a couple of decent ones for King's birthday round. Then St Kilda play the Bulldogs on Thursday. Is this Utah's prime time? Hawthorn Adelaide at Utah's in prime time footy. Never thought I would see that. Brisbane Giants at the Gabba. Essendon Geelong at the MCG. North Fremantle at Optus. See, this is what I was saying. North are the home team, but they're playing Fremantle at Optus. Bit weird. And then the state of the Sunday. The state of the Sunday. Port Melbourne at Adelaide Oval. And West Coast Carlton at Optus. Not great. Then Collingwood, Gold Coast, Sydney, and Richmond in the buys. Round 15. It's I think, is this the last round of scheduled in games? We'll be able to rattle off the later rounds a lot faster. Fremantle, Essendon at Optus. Geelong play Brisbane at GMHBA. I like seeing good teams go to GMHBA, not because it's a good ground, because the ground's shit, but it's just, Geelong fans will be happy with that they get to play Brisbane at GMHBA. They don't have to play that game at the MCG. They get, to be in their place, so that's good. It'll be good if they have some bigger Victorian teams going there, like your Carlton, Collingwood, or Essendon. But they would never do that because GMHBA is an absolute shithole. Then on the Saturday, we play North at the G. We always play them at Marvel. Good that we get to play them at the G. Port Sydney at the Adelaide Oval. Could be good, maybe. Port belted them there last year, so maybe it's good. And then I love seeing Collingwood play another Victorian team at Marvel. It always makes me happy because you get 15 games a year at the MCG, so you should get a couple at Marvel. And then GWS Gold Coast Expansion Cup at NG and a flogging. And you've got Adelaide, Hawthorn, Melbourne, and West Coast with the byes. Round 16. Okay, the first one of the non-scheduled in games. Collingwood, West Coast at Marvel, and home. They get the Marvel treatment again. 2 games at Marvel. This one's a home game against an interstate team. I don't think we've had a home game against an interstate team at the G in 2 years. So it's good that this one is at Marvel. I think it was last year as well, and they still flogged them. Richmond play Adelaide at the G. Gold Coast play Melbourne at People's First. Sydney play the Bulldogs at the SCG. If that was on Easter Sunday, that would have been amazing, especially if it was at the G. Hawthorn play North at UTAS. We go back to we play Port and Adelaide Oval as well. So we play 3 games in Adelaide, both Adelaide teams and West Coast. Then Fremantle play Saints at Optus, and Brisbane, Geelong, Essendon, GWS have the byes. Round 7, Geelong play Richmond at GMHBA. Another big Victorian team going to Geelong. Don't mind that. Saints, Hawthorn at Marvel. North Bulldogs at Marvel. Essendon, Gold Coast at Marvel. That is 3 games at Marvel in a row, but they're obviously not going to be all on the same day. We play Collingwood at the G. Sydney, Fremantle at the SCG. And then Brisbane play Port at the Gabba. It's Crows, Melbourne, Adelaide Oval, West Coast, GWS at Optus. So, maybe Carlton, Collingwood could be decent. That looks like it's probably it. Maybe Sydney, Fremantle. Yeah. Not a great round. Round 18. GWS, Geelong at NG. Also, they play each other twice. At both GMHBA and NG. They always play good games, those two. Bulldogs Adelaide at Mars, so that's their other Ballarat game. St Kilda play Sydney at Marvel. They beat them there last year, so maybe they do something. And we play Brisbane at Marvel. Good that we don't have to go to the Gabba. Melbourne play North at the G. Richmond play Essendon at the G. Gold Coast play Collingwood at People's First. Maybe another big Gold Coast home win. Adelaide West Coast at Adelaide Oval, and then Fremantle Hawthorn at Optus. Could be a decent game, you never know. So there could be a couple of nice ones in there. That's a round to look out for. Round 19, Geelong Saints at GMHBA. Essendon play GWS at Marvel. We get Melbourne at the G. Collingwood play Fremantle at the G. Sydney play North at the SCG. Brisbane play the Bulldogs at the Gabba. That could be a belting, you never know how good the Bulldogs are going to be. Adelaide play Gold Coast at Adelaide Oval. And then another spoon derby, this one at Optus. So we get the 2 worst teams in the league, in my opinion. I think they're both going to be the 2 worst teams, playing each other twice. So that'll be good to see. 5 rounds left. Round 20. Battle of the Bridge. You just know it's going to be a twilight game. North Geelong at Marvel. Saints play Melbourne at Marvel. Essendon play Bulldogs at Marvel. Richmond play Collingwood at the G. We play Hawthorn twice. I feel like we rarely play Hawthorn twice, so it's good to see that. Gold Coast, Brisbane, another Q clash, a showdown, and then a Western Derby. So they always put the Battle of the Bridge on when all the other big games are, like Hawthorn, Carlton, the Q clash, the showdown, and the Western Derby. So this one's it's going to be another Western Derby that's not primetime. Go back and look. There's so many times that both these teams have been good, and this game's been a shit time slot. After the final that we had last year, where Sydney came back in the last quarter. Heaney put on a clinic. If after all that, neither of these two are on TV, it'll be disgusting. Round 21, Geelong play Port at GMHBA. St Kilda North at Marvel. Melbourne play a home game against West Coast at Marvel. Insane stuff. You just know the D's are shit. Bulldogs Giants at Marvel. Collingwood Brisbane at the MCG. Always love seeing those two teams play each other. Gold Coast Richmond at People's First. Sydney Essendon at the SCG. This is just going to be when the Essendon capitulation is in. They get absolutely fucking belted. Crom, Hawthorn and Adelaide Oval. We play Freo at Optus. So we go to Optus twice and we go to Adelaide 3 times, but we don't go to Queensland, I don't think. Or maybe we play Gold Coast away. I don't think we played them yet. Geelong, Essendon, GMHBA. So Geelong get to play Essendon and Richmond. Who was the other one? They get to play Essendon and Richmond and Melbourne. They get to play all three of those teams at GMHBA, which is good. Put Collingwood there next. AFL. Put Collingwood at GMHBA. Do it. GWS North and Canberra. Okay, so we don't play in Queensland at all. So that's going to be at Marvel. Richmond Saints at the G. I think, are both these games at the G? I'm pretty sure the other one was too. Melbourne finally play the Bulldogs. Surprised this wasn't round 1. They usually play round 1. But it's going to be at the MCG. And then Hawthorn Collingwood could be a big one. Another grand final rematch. This one at the Gabba. Port play Fremantle at the Adelaide Oval. West Coast play Adelaide at Optus. So, you know, that game could be good. That game could be good. And that's probably it. So, not an amazing round, but not terrible. Another game at Ninja Stadium for North against Richmond. This game is the biggest shithouse I've ever seen. North versus Richmond in Hobart. Oh. Essendon Saints at Marvel. Bulldogs West Coast at Marvel. So we play Port twice. So we play 3 Adelaide teams, 2 of them at Adelaide Oval, and we play 3 games at Adelaide Oval in total. Hawks get Melbourne at the G. Wow. Gold Coast play GWS People's First. Sydney play Geelong at the SCG. This game was pretty fucking good last year. Hawthorn kicked like 5 in a row or something. Sorry, Hawthorn. Did I say Hawthorn? Geelong kicked like 5 in a row, and then Sydney came back and won. Then Collingwood play Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. We just know Collingwood are going to win. They always win there. And then Fremantle Brisbane at Optus. And then final round of the year. We've hit half an hour. GWS St Kilda at NG Stadium. North Adelaide Marvel. Bulldogs Fremantle at Marvel. Collingwood Melbourne at the MCG. They played round 24 there last year. Shitter. And we finally play Essendon twice. Oh my god, yes. Round 24. Peak Bombers capitulation. You love to see it. Brisbane Hawks at the Gabba. Adelaide Gold Coast at Adelaide Oval. And then Sydney in their season at Optus. So, couple of decent ones there. Carlton Essendon, Brisbane Hawthorn, maybe Bulldogs Fremantle. Bit of a push. There's potential depending on where the season's at that point. But yeah, there we are. That is the fixture. Overall, I thought they did a pretty good job. There were a bit of weird stuff that I don't dislike. It's good seeing UTAS get 2 night games. The Sunday night primetime stuff, it's good on the public holidays having the game on later. But just the Hawthorn, I think gather round and opening round ruins everything. If it wasn't for them shitting the bed with this game in gather round and opening round existing, if it wasn't for that, I think it would be a really good fixture. As for Carlton, who did we get twice? We got. Hang on, let me have a look at our fixture. We got Hawthorn twice, I remember. Obviously, Collingwood twice. We got West Coast twice. We got North twice. We got Essendon twice. And Port twice. That's pretty good for us. Two shocking teams in North and West Coast. I actually think North are going to win a few games. They're going to win more games than they have the last few years. I think it'll be Richmond and West Coast sort of in that bottom two. So getting two, bottom four sides, playing them twice is good. But then the other teams, Collingwood, Essendon, Port, and have I already forgotten? Collingwood, Essendon, Port, and Hawthorn. Like, most of those teams are pretty good. Maybe, Essendon final round isn't great for them, but I'm happy with that fixture overall. I'm happy with the games Carlton got. We got one of the easiest schedules in the league. And overall, I think that we're going to see some great footy next year. I'm so excited for the season. It is the 14th of November, and we have to wait until the 6th of March for the season to kickstart. It's going to be a long wait, but I'm excited. I'm going to get some AFL content here on the channel. When we get closer to the season, I'll do like a ladder prediction, full season predictions, and I'll try and cover the games throughout the season. And yeah, I'm so excited for footy to come back in a few months. Absolutely love it. And I think they did a pretty good job with this fixture.